All right, so Chucky season 2, episode 5, Doll on Doll, which is a very fitting title, is continues on from episodes 3 and 4. Episode 4 was a split off where it was just about Tiffany as Jennifer Tilly with Nika and Glenn and Glinda at the Hollywood mansion that she has. And episode 3, this continues from episode 3 where we had the revelation that there was a buff Chucky and there was a good Chucky, and buff Chucky looked like he was going to hurt good Chucky, and I was scared for what was going to happen at the end. But we did have the episode 4, where we didn't resolve that, so now we've got it in this episode. So this episode resolves both episodes 3 and 4 together because they were both so self-contained. Episode 3, like I said, was about the kids. Episode 4 is about Tiffany, Glenn, Glinda, and Nika and the party. So this starts out where you see Buff Chucky talking to Good Chucky, and there is a Chucky smackdown where Good Chucky actually kicks Bad Chucky's ass, and he actually throws knives and hooks Buff Chucky up, like Jesus Christ, where like he's got the hands or the knives in his hands, and he's hanging up like a cross. But I think that also, since Don Mancini is such a big De Palma fan, I think obviously it's probably more of Carrie inspiration at the end of Carrie with her mother getting put up like that, like the Jesus figure. But that was cool seeing Chucky like impaled that way. That was just funny to see in a Catholic school. And then Devin kind of gets pulled out of the episode because he looks like he's the one that stabbed the Chucky doll, and Devin Sawa finds him, or Mulaney, is that his name? The father Mulaney. He finds Devin and takes him away. So Devin's not in this episode as much at first, but then you get the thing where he is angry at Jake for liking good Chucky because they made this Chucky good, and Devin thinks no, he can't be trusted. And I did like that relationship with their going back and forth, because do you really trust this doll even though he was good now? Maybe he isn't good still. Um, I also like that this builds on Nadine and Lexi. And again, these two characters were just an odd couple, like in terms of characters, just to have a friendship with, because they're so drastically different. And I really like the way they wrote that. They were really interesting and just fascinating. Um, but the thing I really like is we get Glenn having nightmares about Seed of Chucky. So Glenn and Glinda do not know what Seed of Chucky, like what happened in Seed of Chucky. They do not know how what has happened, and we know as the audience, but they're slowly learning. And I like how Glenn calls out Tiffany, and I like the fact that you later you real Glenn realizes that Tiffany is his mother, and it's not really Jennifer Tilly. And I love the fact that you get Tiffany in a cage, Tiffany doll in the cage, but it's Jennifer Tilly, because in Seed of Chucky they swapped. But at the end of Seed of Chucky, you never got the implication that Jennifer Tilly was still in that body of the Tiffany doll, because it was implied that she died because she got hit in the head with the axe. But no, Jennifer Tilly, the actress, is alive in the Tiffany doll. This is so confusing to say, but I love seeing her in the cage, and the fact that all she wants is chocolate, and Tiffany as Jennifer Tilly says, "No, no chocolate." Like, I thought that was funny. Um, I thought that it was hilarious as well, going back to the kids' story, where since Devin was pissed off at this good Chucky, thinking he could turn on him, it hurts good Chucky's feelings. And again, it's just so good with Brad Dourif playing a good Chucky character. I really genuinely love that. I hope that this good Chucky stays good. I hope he becomes an ally forever. That's awesome. Um, they even baptized Chucky, which is great. Baptized good Chucky. That's awesome. Um, but then, of course, it can't stay great because Buff Chucky, or Royd's Chucky, wakes up again. So he's not completely dead. Um, and I like the fact that Meg Tilly is back in this episode, and she is getting really questionable about Jennifer Tilly and her history with Meg Tilly, because Meg asked her stuff about when they were kids, and Tiffany is like, "Oh yeah, yeah," and she kind of like shrugs it off, like she pretends she knows. And then Tiffany goes to Jennifer Tilly who's in the doll body, and says, "What about these friends?" And then she goes back to Meg Tilly, and Meg Tilly says the story that Tiffany as Jennifer Tilly says to Meg is the plot of the Blues Brothers, and Meg's like, that's not what happened. That's the plot of the Blues Brothers. I thought that was really funny. I love the fact that you you get that revelation that Meg figures it out quickly, but then she is stabbed like a billion times, and it's very artful. I like how it's like shadow on the wall, like Alfred Hitchcock. Like just you don't see it, but you do see it, but you don't see like the actual body until it's on the ground. I thought that was great. It was funny to see Meg Tilly get killed because I get it makes sense for the characters, like for her to not say something, and I felt bad for doll Jennifer Tilly, like in the doll body. I felt so bad for whenever her sister got murdered. Like that was horrible. But I love the fact that you get Glenn learning more about this. That she learns that Tiffany is her mother in Jennifer Tilly's body. Um, and I really like that talk between Tiffany and Glenn, where Tiffany says, in this body I am a special person. I feel like I'm special. I feel like I'm famous. I feel like I actually mean something to you kids. And I really liked it. Really gave Tiffany some heart, even though she does have some throughout the franchise. But I felt like this really hit home with that. Tiffany just wants the kids to be really proud of her. Now she shows Glenn the doll of the Glenn doll from Seed of Chucky, which is great seeing the Glenn doll back because we haven't seen it since Seed of Chucky. So Glenn is slowly figuring out the ordeal of what's been going on, and then they all leave. So with Nika gone, Tiffany as Jennifer Tilly just takes her, Glenn, the Glenn doll, and Jennifer Tilly in the Tiffany body and takes them and burns the mansion down. So now they're on the run. They're going to go get Glinda. So I thought that was a great ending for that. But then we get a really interesting revelation here that Chucky, good Chucky, has been like, there's been pictures on the phone of Chucky's, and there's been Chucky parts, and it leads them back to this location that the kids have not been at, and you find out it's this weird cabin where all these Chucky body parts are all around the forest, like it leads to it, like the Chucky body parts lead to the cabin, and then the kids come and find that Andy is in there, and finds that all the bodies of the people that have been killed in the Catholic school are in there. And there is a Colonel Chucky, which is the bald Chucky from episode 1 of season 2 that was in the van. And he's in charge of this right now. So, and also Dr. Mixter is in on it, of course. I knew that there was something wrong with that woman. I knew that she had something up with her. I didn't expect her to be innocent. I expected her to have something weird with her, and she does. She's in on this whole thing with the Chucky. So, and maybe even farther down the line, we don't even know fully. So yeah, I'm glad to see Andy back. Of course they're gonna bring Andy back. Of course he didn't die in episode 1 of this season. Of course Kyle didn't die in the last season because Kyle was back in episode 4. I love having those characters back, and I understand they have to write it to where it's about the new kids more, but these characters that are legacy characters still are going to be involved, but they're not going to be throughout the whole show. So I'm glad that they brought both of them back. I knew that they didn't kill either one of them, Andy or Kyle. I knew they wouldn't do that. But it's great to see both of them back in some way, shape, or form. So I'm excited for the next episode. We're on episode 5, and I think there's 8 episodes, so 3 more episodes to go. So I'm loving this show. It's fantastic. One of my favorite shows, and I love the Chucky franchise in general. So no matter what, I've really loved everything about this franchise, and this show just is even better, like in terms of just how much they can bring into this show with the time span as opposed to an hour and a half movie. So love it. Great episode. So can't wait for next week. But that is it for today. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.